This has been fun. Who knows if this will get added?
I don't know. We're gonna
free-flowing conversation.
Yeah. Welcome to Life's Greatest Hits. I'm Jason Earle.
I am Jordan Foley.
Here's how it usually goes. We do a vinyl swap each month where we lend each other a physical copy of an album from our personal collection. Usually something that the other guy hasn't heard of or doesn't know that well. We spend the entire month listening to the album, do our research, jot down our thoughts, and then get together to discuss each record. The conversation goes in all kinds of different directions, and it's crazy to think that we're already coming up on nearly a year of this thing.
Wow.
I know, right? But we mainly focus on what we think of the album, any takeaways on what we learned, and where the listening ultimately took us. We give each other half the time of the episode to talk about the albums we were given and go from there. It's been a fucking blast.
Yeah, man.
And this is a perfect example of how much fun it's been. Jordan hit me up earlier today. We have been listening to Jason Isbell's Foxes in the Snow all day.
Oh, yeah.
We actually got our copies yesterday because we pre-ordered from the artists themselves.
A bunch of nerds.
We're fucking nerds to the point. We're nerdy enough that I am now looking at 2 copies of the record because I pre-ordered the indie exclusive vinyl from Park Ave CDs here in Orlando, Florida. Free pub, Park Ave. And we have just been... in the way that Jordan and I do about our favorite artists, we've been texting. I don't take my phone to work most days.
Right.
And I took my phone to work today because I knew we'd be texting
I figured
about this
you
record.
did. That's why I texted you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we texted all day about the record, and Jordan was like, why don't we just get together and hang and talk about this album that's so amazing? So we're about to listen to it one time through.
Multiple. How many times have you listened to it?
I've listened to it 3 times so
far. No, I've listened to it twice.
I listened to it. I went to the Magic game last night. And when I got home, I was like, I need to go to bed. And then I thought, you know what? No, I can't. It's staring me in the face.
Yeah.
And I can sleep when I'm dead. I'm going to listen to this thing. So I sat and I poured myself a little glass of whiskey. And I listened to this record one time through. And I cried my eyes out. And I cannot wait to talk about it. And then in the morning, I was like, all right, get up early enough that you'll have time to like sit with your coffee and just listen to the record. So I did that this morning too. And then when I got home from work today, the dogs and I cuddled on the couch and we listened to the record one more time.
They're so cute right now. They're just
so
sleeping right now. Yeah, that's great, man. I got it yesterday. Came in the mail. Got it from Isbell's website, and I listened to it yesterday after work. I listened to it again this afternoon while I was working.
Cool.
So that was as much as I've gotten to listen to it, but the second time around just made me feel like I want to talk about it. And you know, when it comes to Life's Greatest Hits, like what a great platform to actually sit and talk about more vinyl. I feel like we need to, you know, branch out and do some cool shit. So this might be the start of bonus episodes that we might try to do whenever an artist that we're both excited about or a band, maybe we go to a concert and we're like, we should talk about that concert. Like we're just gonna, maybe we'll ramp up and try to do some more content. I think.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm really enjoying our conversations. I mean, I think that's why we've been so good friends in the first place, is because we have really great conversations. That's one of my favorite things about our friendship.
Likewise.
But the fact that like we actually are doing this and we want to expand the conversation to folks, anybody who's out there and wants to listen, I think that's really cool. And I think somebody like Jason Isbell would be appreciative of that.
I tell you what, on that point, I anecdotally lately have been getting a lot of positive feedback about how people appreciate our dynamic.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah, like a lot of it. I mean, you know, not just 1 or 2 people, but folks that know my podcast, The Marinade, or know me personally, but don't know you necessarily, or know me for a long time.
Oh my God. What was that noise?
Oh, baby boy's dreaming.
Snoring.
Hopefully that comes across on mic. It's like the cutest beagle. Dreaming. He's so precious.
That was gold.
He's so precious.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We went to Milk House earlier. We sat in the patio and I had some food, and they're just beloved there, right? Everybody knows them.
Yeah.
But like a couple people hadn't met them yet. Like Jan Levine hadn't met them.
Oh, nice.
She was setting up to play.
Yeah.
And musician here in town, guys. Musician. Gosh, she's a jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. She hosts trivia. She's an amazing creative person and a sweetheart. But she was setting up to play, and she'd never met them, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is the most precious pair of dogs I've ever seen in my life." So we'll probably talk a little bit about that during the episode.
They're going to be
too.
co-hosts on this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so great to hear that like you're being told, by people that especially people who listen to the Marinade, that like they're connecting with this.
Yeah.
And when it comes to me, I think I'm getting more and more comfortable to be more, being on the microphone in front of an audience, as opposed to being in a conversation in a living room, knowing that this is going to go to a bigger audience. I feel like I've been very mindful, but also I get loud and I get excited and I have to like dial. I just pay very, very close attention to how I handle things, and then I listen back to it. And so all that being said, I do feel like I'm getting more and more comfortable in an interview setting or in a microphone setting where it's like we're just having a conversation, and it's easier to do that.
Well, I think the best, in my experience, coming up on 8 years of the Marinade.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. 8 years in September of the release of the first episode with BJ Barham, which was recorded in April of 2017, but not released till September.
8 years ago.
Yeah. And not only that, the second episode with Verlin Thompson was actually recorded at the end of 2016. So that's how far back we're going with the Marinade.
That's wild.
And I think one of the things I've learned in that time is if you can figure out a flow where you forget the mics are on, that's the good bits happen then. And what I've learned is that people really connect with that.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I just kind of thought, part of me was sort of like, well, nobody wants to hear me just chop it up, right? And that's not true. People like it.
I have felt a little bit of that lately, where I'm like, I'm just another dude with a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're so popular, but on the flip flip side of that coin, I'm listening to more podcasts because of it.
Cool.
Where I'm like, what can I learn? Like, from Joe Pug, working songwriter. I listened to his conversation with Mike from Silverado on the way to, where was it? Gainesville. Yeah. For my show in Gainesville.
Couple
last
of Marinade
week.
guests.
Yeah, and both of them. It was wild,
show,
but I wanted to listen to them, and so I'm paying more attention on how to have a conversation on a microphone, knowing that this is going to be out there. Like my mom's going to hear this because I sent her the link because she's been wanting to. She's like, "Where's your podcast? Like, does it expire? Like, how can I listen to it?" I'm like, "It's on there, Mom.
Yeah.
I got like 8 episodes now. You could listen to me talk if you want."
It's wild how. Shout out to your mom, who's wonderful.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah,
love you.
It's wild to me, and I guess it shouldn't be, but like, folks over the age of say 50. How many people just, for whatever reason, of all media, podcasts don't make sense to them.
Right.
And it's hard to, like, I try to explain it to, and like I've got Dell. We talked about Dell, who is the security guard at my school.
Yeah.
Right. Who gifted me at our year end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got Dell listening every once in a while, and Dell's a savvy dude.
That's cool.
Like, he's a savvy guy. But it is interesting how sometimes we'll have conversations, and I'll basically just have to send him the damn link on Spotify.
Right.
It's like, if I don't do that, and he's like, he's with it, He's not like a curmudgeon-y old man or something, right? But like, I try to explain to my grandmother, who is 92, so that's a little different, what a podcast was, and it just, in one ear and out the other, basically. She was just like, well, I love you, honey, and I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
But that's not, she ain't gonna be listening.
Yeah. And I think it goes hand in hand with songwriting, which I've always talked about, is that it I write songs because I enjoy writing songs, and if I like it, then I might hold on to it and spend more time with it. And I think first and foremost, we want to do this for ourselves, but that goes hand in hand with the fact that there are people who are giving good, positive feedback and saying that they're enjoying it.
It makes a big difference because you sometimes feel like you're doing it into the void. And so when someone personally says to you, whether it's a parasocial relationship or a interpersonal relationship face to face, if someone says, hey, I connected with this particular thing or this moment, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But when someone says that, it motivates me to be like, oh shit, let's do more.
Yeah.
This is, so if you're connecting with it and you tell us that you're connecting with it, just know that like we fucking hear you.
Yeah,
like,
we hear
really
you, and
do.
and that's why we're doing something like tonight. Is we want to do more. We want to connect more. We want to bring in an audience. We want to build from there.
Yeah.
There's a vinyl community out there that we feel like would really appreciate this style of conversation. And challenging ourselves to listen to these records. I can't remember if it was Jack
Renka?
Yeah, Jack Renka from
Jackie Stranger?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was him. Somebody said while I was on the road, and it was a friend of ours. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, yeah, man, y'all talk about some albums that like I don't think I would ever like listen to myself.
Oh, cool.
But that's what makes it so interesting. And I think it was Jack. Yeah, but
Jack.
if it wasn't,
the
then I apologize for putting words in your mouth, my friend. But that was some feedback that I got, that it's like, it's cool to see you doing what you're doing. I mean, we had an episode where we talked about, I still can't get over it. We talked about Tim Berry and Chance the Rapper in one episode. Like, so again,
my buddy just listened to that. One of the people that I'm talking about
cool.
listened to that, and he it's a really fun thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is a really fun thing. My buddy Brian, who was the guy who got me into Avail, that led me to Tim Berry, in middle school or high school. I guess it was middle school. Brian took his son to see his 13-year-old son to see Tim Berry in Gainesville after the show here that you played. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Danny
and
over there.
And not only that, his son, 13-year-old son, got a girl his age hit on him. And got her number. He's been texting with her at the Tim Berry show. The whole thing's wild.
That's awesome.
And so my buddy Brian and I have been like texting back and forth Tim Berry stuff.
She's like his age?
Yeah.
That's good for them.
Yeah, I don't know why I said woman at first. That's
really I just
weird.
want to make sure.
Yeah, no, it was another 13-year-old kid. That's really weird.
Hey,
Yeah. No.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. And Brian like sent me a cover of an Avail song.
Man,
and, like, oh, it's so much fun.
We really want to get into this Isbell record. I promise you. But like, we're also catching up, folks. Like, we haven't been able to talk as much. So it's nice to kind of have this episode. Tim Berry is a great hang. Tim is a really cool guy. He is very intelligent, very insightful, one hell of a songwriter.
Performer.
I just like picked his brain for a good 30-40 minutes. I was late. I was supposed to meet Mariah at a bar at the Nook, and she's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm talking to Tim Berry. I can't leave
Give
this."
me a minute. Yeah.
Like we're having such a great conversation.
Yeah.
Shout out to that. Shout out to Tim. I had one hell of a show at Will's Pub with him, and he said he'll see me down the line, and I feel like that's really cool.
Dude, I had a gig. My first out of town gig, songwriter showcase at the Silver Cow, in Jacksonville, my beloved Duval, the next night, and the whole way there, I thought, first of all, we would be remiss if we didn't mention how you and Tyler burned the fucking place down. Also,
thanks, man.
You and Tyler Hood,
we're on a roll,
dude. Y'all are. Like,
I'll admit it,
folks, and this isn't just me pumping up my friend. This is real.
Yeah, it is.
This is real. Like, y'all are at this place. I said to Tyler before the John Moreland, or after the John Moreland performance, where y'all opened for John Moreland, all of this happening in
a
life
week
right now.
In a week's time, I opened for Tim Berry and John Moreland 3 times.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But the show at Tuffy's where you open, for John Moreland after y'all set, I was like, dude, I hope this makes sense. Y'all are so tight you can play loose. It's like y'all are so locked in right now that you just are able to get up there and have fun, and you know these songs, and you trust the songs. You know they're good, and you know that people are going to react to it, and then you're just having fun up there.
Yeah.
Like y'all, and folks don't see behind the scenes that I know. This is a result of y'all working your asses off to get there, right?
Yeah.
Like y'all have been playing together, not only getting up and playing, but
about 5 years now.
Yeah.
Almost 6 years.
And just practicing,
Yeah.
during the week, and then you get up and you play your gigs, and
Yeah.
and all of the work you've been putting in
Thanks,
is showing now. But I played that show, and shout out to the folks at Silver Cow and the Utter Sounds, John Van, who puts that together, the Utter Sounds Showcase. Buddy, like, beautiful night. It was like
Right.
we stepped into a portal.
So cool.
And I think that's what the Tim Barry. I was like channeling the Tim Barry energy. I'm trying to pretend like I'm going to be Tim Barry, but that energy where he just brought everybody in.
Yeah, there was definitely an energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what I was trying to channel. I think we all were. We were feeding off each
Yeah.
other at this Utter Sounds Showcase the next night. And we'd all done it together as a crowd and as a collective at Will's the night before. So then when I go to Jacksonville, I stepped out of the venue after we all played, and I was like, I looked across the street and I was like, I ate lunch there today.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, it felt like I had been transported.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had that feeling, but like
all last week.
Yeah,
All
sweet.
last week with John Moreland on the road, just hitting up every venue 3 nights in a row was. It's not something I've done in a while. I haven't done that in a while. Last time I did it was with Kyle Keller last fall.
Yeah.
And I have the itch to be on the road now, and it's every time I go on the road more, it's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And I love being home. I'm not saying I don't want to be home. I love being home.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, I want to go play for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally have that like belief in myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it for because I enjoy it, A, and B, because it's making an impact of some kind. I mean, the responses that I've gotten, like yours, and just after shows and connecting with people who had no idea who I was, and they were just there to listen to all of John Moreland's beautiful songs. Yeah. For them to walk away and be like, I'm so glad I caught your set before John's, like, it's very hard to catch an opening set. I'm very guilty of not going to them myself. Mm-hmm. And it's because, life happens. We got to go get dinner. Got to go here. Let's go grab a beer. And then let's go to the show. And so that happens.
And if there's more than 2 people involved, then it's like you're meeting up with another couple or friends or all that side. Totally.
Yeah. So to have the crowds that I was playing to in those moments, I mean, I could go on and on that, like, I just felt like I was in my element, and this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
And so every day I'm waking up, and that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate what you said about me and Tyler. Thank you so much, because it's true. It's true. We do put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. We really love what we do. Tyler and I definitely have a very comfortable connection with each other where we know where each of us is going. Mm-hmm. And when we surprise each other, it makes it all the more special.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun to play with Tyler. I could play music with Tyler anywhere in front of anyone because it's just like a room of me and him. Mm-hmm. So I definitely, like, there's a reason why he and I are so tight, and like we're treating this as like a partnership, even though, my name is on everything. Tyler's right there with me. Like, we're writing together right now, and it's just very, very exciting. Yeah. Cause like we're motivated. And we're creative, and like we're hitting strides. Tyler is coming up with some really cool stuff that I'm getting inspired by, and vice versa. Awesome. So it's a very exciting time, and it's all the more reason to have conversations like this, and have conversations about our favorite songwriters. I feel like that's a good segue. So thanks if you've listened this far. I think now's a good time. We're gonna go ahead and just stop. And we're going to listen. You're not going to hear us listen to the record. Go listen to Foxes in the Snow by Jason Isbell, but we're going to sit here and just listen to it. And then after we listen to the whole record, we're going to come back on and have a chat about it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Wow, man.
So we just listened to Foxes in the Snow by Jason Isbell, everybody.
And we are feeling everything.
And let's just, like, can we just start out by talking about, like, I know we do a lot of like, I love you, man.
Yeah.
I know we do a lot of that shit. But
we're bros.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice moment.
Like, that was really nice.
We feel like we need to do this more.
Yes, we should do this more often. Like, we didn't say much. Every once in a while we chime in.
Every time we give a record to each other, we go off and listen to it on our own. I feel like there's a lot. It feels like a good homework.
Yeah.
You know? But that was like, I don't listen to a lot of records with other people. Mariah.
I don't either.
We'll put on a record together.
Yeah.
That's it, you know? So like,
but you're probably like cooking dinner and stuff, or do you just listen?
Usually it's like cleaning or if I'm in the office or something. Yeah.
But we weren't doing anything.
No, we just sat there and listened to it, and like we talked a little bit about the record and like some things about the mindset behind, you know, the history behind Jason and the things that he, you know, the dirt, the tea, the grime that
which we're not going to get too lost.
We're not.
In
we agreed we're not going to spend time talking about Jason's personal life. That's not what this is about.
Yeah. We also don't know shit about
We don't know
that.
shit
We're
about
not
fuck. You know
plugged
what I
in
mean?
that.
Like, it's not our place. So this is solely about the album, our thoughts, opinions, you know, takeaways. And let's kick it off, man.
Okay, so if I could take the lead on this.
Please do.
Because I feel like, you know, for context, I think folks who listen to the Marinade with Jason Earle know my relationship with Jason Isbell's music. I'm not sure how much I've talked about it on Life's Greatest Hits. So if you're not necessarily like a diehard fan of the Marinade, or if you don't know me personally, you may not fully have perspective on how much this music has meant to me.
I could say the same for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a fair assessment in our own different ways.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was a fan of Isbell when he was in the Drive-By Truckers. I saw him in the Drive-By Truckers with when they played with the Black Crowes and Robert Randolph and the Family Band in Tampa. Conundrum. Hey, Conundrum. Leave it, bud. Good boy.
Yeah, it's okay. You got the job done.
Good boy.
Good boy.
You're obsessive.
Sorry, dude.
I mean, I know
if I had the capability, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm obsessive like he is too. It's a good thing I can't do it. But I've been a fan of Jason Isbell since he was in the Drive-By Truckers, and hey, you're gonna get your cone. Leave it. He's looking at me like, yeah, Dad. Yeah. You got like 30 seconds until I start going back after it. Come over and pay attention to me, or I'm going back in my balls. My non-existent balls. So the thing that Jason Isbell's music has been the soundtrack to my adult life, and because we're about the same age. He's about a year older than me. We grew up on similar music. Our lives were not the same, but similar parts of the world, similar cultures. So when I listen to each Isbell record, it typically hits me at a time where I'm going through the same kinds of emotional shit that he's going through.
Sure.
Even though our lives are very different, he was a super rock star as a very, very young man. A lot of our demons are similar. A lot of our interpersonal relationships are similar in terms of, like, from what I know about him. I don't know him personally. And I think this one hit me harder than maybe any record he's put out.
Yup.
Because this is the sound of a man in his mid-40s, a year removed from a divorce. Well, guess what I am right now? A man in his mid-40s, a year removed from a divorce. Yeah. And his relationship with his ex, it almost mirrored mine. Like, I mean, they were together a little bit longer, but like almost mirrored my relationship. And I remember when Southeastern came out, and later that year, I met my, what I thought was the love of my life, and we were together for the next 10 years. In that time, I saw Isbell so many times, right? Like, I've seen him on average of once a year since 2007. Wow. Sometimes I've seen him 3 or 4 times a year. I've flown out to Oklahoma to see him. I go to Nashville to see him all the time. This is someone whose music has meant so much to me, in large part because I think he's a generational genius, but also because he's saying the shit that I'm feeling in the moment, and he's doing it so beautifully in a way that I can connect with. This record, on the first listen, I just went, yep, these are the things I've been dealing with for the last year. These are from the breakup songs on this record to the love songs to the we talked a little bit while we were listening to about the fact that like it in so many ways is a man going like, okay, here is where I am.
Yeah.
I need to process this.
Yeah. Totally.
Production assistant.
Yeah.
Producer Conundrum.
Conundrum.
Who
is making
obsessively licks his non-existent balls.
creating a bit of a conundrum.
Yep. There you go, boy.
All right.
Boy.
There he is.
I just want dad. Oh, good job, bud. So anyway, I think, we're going to dive into it a little bit, but I'm curious from your perspective as someone who came to Isbell a little bit later and is a little bit younger than me, like what it is that you connect with on this record.
Well, to give a little background as well with Jason Isbell, I've talked about my affection for his music here and there. If anybody ever listens to Records Revisited, I talked with those wonderful guys about Nashville sound, and I've made it very known on social media that I'm just a huge Isbell fan. My ex-girlfriend introduced me to Cover Me Up when it first came out. So not years later, not like, after Morgan Wallen covered it, like right when it came out, she was like, you need to listen to this song. And so, after we broke up, all the way through that, I did a deep dive. And then after we broke up, I fully committed to like Jason Isbell's music, like being like, this is mine. I'm walking away from this relationship. I'm taking Jason Isbell's music with me. Yeah. So I never stopped being a big fan. It just grew more and more. So to give that background before diving into my thoughts on this album, I also need to say that I'm a singer-songwriter who plays an acoustic guitar, and I started started out playing solo. I still play solo a lot. That is my comfort zone. The band was, having a band was a new element that I had to learn how to become a part of, even if it's my band.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to like take charge, and I'm constantly learning about that. But as an artist, as a solo artist, this is everything I've ever wanted. And that's not just because of Jason Isbell. Like, just in general, I love acoustic albums. When I was a kid, my mom got Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds live at Luther College, and I listened to both discs back to back for hours and hours on end.
Yeah.
And there's just an element to it that it's so raw and so simple, and it's like so bare boned, but it's beautiful in the writing of it. So with that being said, and this is no bullshit, I'm not shooting on it, like this might be my favorite. And I'm not, because I'll have you know, you've said that about certain albums over the years. Our friend Tyler, or buddy Tyler Hood, has said that about certain albums over the years. That one might be my best one. I have not said it. I always have to think about it. Like, man, like which one's my favorite? I don't know. They're all so good.
Well, Tyler and I both thought Weather Vanes was.
Yes, both of you are big Weather Vanes. Yes. And I am too. Huge fan of Weather Vanes. So I'm not taking anything away from the other albums. Let me be clear on that.
Yeah.
But this was everything I ever wanted in what I believed Jason Isbell could do as a writer.
Yeah.
His lyrics, I feel like I'm in 3 listens in 2 days. I am constantly hearing new shit that I'm like, man, like
we did that.
How did you come up with that? How did you?
Yeah.
Like I know as a songwriter that sometimes you just strike gold. Sometimes songs just come to you and it's almost like you didn't write it yourself.
Yeah.
That's not the case with these songs, I don't think. I think these are straight from the heart. Our buddy Zach Schultz from Americana Curious, we put out a post today of like, let's discuss the Foxes in the Snow album. What are your thoughts? 5 seconds in, Zach Schultz commented and he said, I feel like I listened to his diary when I shouldn't have.
I don't think Zach would mind me sharing this, and I'll cut it out. I'll ask him and cut it out if he does mind. But he DM'd me after that, and we talked about it for a second.
Oh, wow.
About the record for a second. And he said, he asked me the question, do you think that you'll listen to this record as therapy, or is it too much given how close to home it is for you?
Yeah.
Like because I had just gone through a very similar situation, right? Like Isbell's divorce is final right about the time my breakup is final. My end of my partnership is final. And I really thought, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can listen to this record much more, as incredible as it is. But sitting here listening to it again tonight, I'm like, no, this is cathartic. And I sent you that message this morning.
Yeah.
I texted you this morning and said, this is catharsis on wax.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I am looking at it from a different perspective, going back to you saying, you know, like you are, you know, younger than me and in a different place, and you fell into Isbell's music at a later time. I do look at this album, so, you know, from a different perspective, I think, but it's hitting me in ways that I'm going to constantly be taking away from it. Like listening to it tonight, I literally sat here and was like, it would be great to just learn how to play this whole album.
Oh,
because
wow,
I feel like I need to sink my teeth into what he did from a writer's perspective. Yeah. I want to understand how he was able to pull so much that he pulled.
Yeah.
You know, of course, like take away all of the heartache and the frustrations that he's had, you know, whatever personal shit he's dealt with. Like we said, we're not going there, but like to be able to formulate these types of songs with the lyrics that he has, with the music, with the guitar, and it's just him at Electric Lady, and that's it. And he did one take, I bet, and it was just one track, no overdubs, no extra, no reverb on the vocals.
Right, the vocal, we talked about that.
Was so simple. Yeah, we did talk.
We talked about that while we were listening. There was a moment where I was listening and I was like, because I think about his voice. One of my favorite things that I think is underrated about him is his voice.
Yeah,
and the way he sings, and it has changed since he got his new teeth or whatever.
I don't know if it's changed that much though. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. I didn't hear it as much. Not
in
a
bad way. Just
no,
different.
but I mean, I know what you're talking about. There's just a timbre, timbre in his voice that he's had, but I don't hear it as much of a difference.
But it did sound. There were a couple moments where it sounded like, oh shit, they just let this thing go.
He might I think I would go as far to say that I think this might be a rehabilitated Isbell, and that's the best Isbell. And that's that's beyond alcoholism. That's beyond that's beyond being sober. That's beyond divorce. That's beyond anything. I think following along on his story and seeing him on Instagram and seeing him on socials and seeing him talk out there and seeing the audience response, he's grown tremendously. And I think he's finally in a place of comfort, or maybe a place of like grounding, you know, like, and you can sense it in the songs because he has no fucks to give here. Yeah. He has no reservations. There's no, I'm writing a story about somebody else. Yeah. I'm writing this song about somebody else or something else, and I'm taking away from that. No, sir. This is stripped. This is who I am. He even said, I read it somewhere today that, you know, he didn't bring in the band because he didn't want to bring them into the shit. He didn't want them to have to deal with this heavy stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
I read that today. And that thought has stayed with me because the question does get proposed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, turn that on you. Yeah,
why not the band? Where's the band in the music? The answer is listen to the fucking songs, man. Yeah. The songs are not. They're not. It's not needed. You know, when I released those 4 songs last year, I think of that. I didn't need the full band for them.
Yeah,
I could have had Tyler on, and I could have had a really cool bass line on this with Hard Luck, and you know, I could have done this with Leave Your Messages and Fall Like I could have done some stuff, but I was inspired, and I've always been inspired by the space in music that isn't being played.
Yeah.
The instrumentation, you know, I'm a big fan of caesuras in songs where songs just stop. There's my favorite part of a song is when there's no music at all. You know what I mean? And that's a weird thought, but like that hits close to home for me.
Miles Davis said something like that. He said like it's not the notes you play, it's the space between them.
What you're not playing, it's the space behind.
Very,
you know,
very much bastardizing. I'm so sorry to Miles Davis, the ghost of Miles Davis, but he said something like, you know, that was the gist of what he was saying.
I understand.
Yeah,
and I think writing acoustic music, like writing songs that are solely meant to be acoustic, they're from a deep place of being you. I think back to BJ Barnum with Rockingham. You know, so what if American Aquarium, my band, was upset? You know, maybe they were upset that I did this album. Maybe they thought I was going in a different direction. This music was coming from a different place.
Yeah,
and I think that's where Isbell tapped into it, where he's like, I can't bring anybody else into this because this is me. This is so raw and so fucking true and uncomfortable and also comfortable at the same time. Like he has this like this back and forth, and we talked about how like we talked in side A between those two songs. I wanted to bring that up where you're like, man, well, I don't remember what songs they are, but you were like, man, I can't believe he went there with like, he did this one heavy song.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's Eileen.
Yeah, Eileen.
And then he follows that by with Gravelweed.
Yeah.
Which are these just fucking.
So like, so Jason, you were like, yeah, like just when I thought that like, you know, he's not going to bring in a relief. Like, where's the relief song?
Yeah.
And I said,
I bitch about him having relief songs.
Right. And I made the joke of like, you ain't a real Isbell fan. What did I say? I don't even remember it now.
Like, you ain't a real Isbell fan. You're not willing to. I forget how you phrased it.
You're not a real Isbell fan if you're not able to go there. You know, like you like if he's going to go there, and it goes back to what Zach was saying about it being his diary, because I felt I've only watched the documentary one time, and I felt very uncomfortable to the point where I can't watch it again. I want to, but I'm not ready. I don't know. And I think it's a visual thing, and I think it's like being in the moment. It just feels so real. Yeah. This is filling in puzzle pieces that we needed as an audience to know that he hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah. Matter of fact, he's better than ever as a writer.
I think so.
As a writer, I don't want to talk about. I don't know him as personally. So as a writer, I think this is peak Isbell.
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. And there are a couple things there that you said that I want to comment on and ask you questions about. But the first thing is on the documentary front, without having a conversation about taking sides or the drama or anything like that, I have found it interesting, as we've talked about off mic, to watch the documentary with women in my life and have conversations with them, women who are either friends or romantic interests or people I care about deeply in some way, any number of relationships with actually, and have a conversation with them about the way that they perceive the relationship. That I don't want to get in the weeds with right now, but I do think as an exercise for people who like this kind of music and who who are thoughtful about their relationships, I do recommend like watching it with someone and who, especially with a romantic interest, and having a conversation about it, because I think it reveals a lot. Yeah. And it also makes you think a lot. But to just go ahead and move on from that back to the songs themselves and the music itself. Yeah. Listening this is my fourth time. Yeah. Listening this fourth time, I think you're 100% right. This is his best writing. Yeah. I think, and to something you said earlier about what he said about the record, I don't know that there's a song on this record, maybe the title track, Foxes in the Snow, that would make sense with the band. I don't know that there's a single song on here that would make sense with the band.
I don't think so. I don't think so either.
It has to be the way that it is.
And I think a band like his knows that.
Yeah.
Like I just saw a photo of that Derry posted of Isbell playing at a record store, and that's like something that like my band is very my band's very supportive.
Yeah.
Like I played that orchestra show. My bassist and one of my very good friends, Chris Faustman, who plays bass for our band, he and his fiance came to the show.
Yep.
You know, like he went out of his way. Wanted to catch a really good show, but also like it's to support, you know.
The
and
show was fucking killer.
Thanks. I'm not trying to be like, I did this
I
cool
know,
thing,
but it was really
and it was
cool.
awesome.
It
really
cool.
was. But to take away that, like, there is a level of camaraderie, and Jason is running the ship. And as somebody who who feels like he's finally taking the reins of his own ship and being like, I know where I'm going with this, and I'm confident and ready to do that. I feel like it was only fair for the captain to say, I'm going to take this trip on my own, boys.
Yeah.
And folks, friends, you know, like,
because there's no
mates.
like
this, sorry.
There's no King of Oklahoma, right? There's no character song on this. This is this motherfucker bleeding for us.
And you know what's crazy, dude, is like,
and maybe for him,
we've been served such ballads by him. Cover Me Up, Elephant, If We Were Vampires. You know, you said Flagship earlier. Like the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. Of heavy hitter songwriter, you know, really good songwriting that's like emotive and it emotional and it's very raw. But this was an entire album of that. And I feel like this, again, it takes Isbell to another level.
Yeah.
And it takes him to another level for me also because, brother, that is some of the best acoustic guitar playing I've ever heard. I am a big fan of acoustic guitar. I mean, I play acoustic guitar. Like, I'm a big fan. I think that might be one of the reasons why I'm such a big BJ Barnum fan, because BJ heads up a rock and roll Americana band that he's leading with an acoustic guitar, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I've tried to like venture into
rock and roll band.
right, and yeah,
shit hot.
I've ventured into the world of electric guitars so much, and I'm such a big fan of just guitars in general.
Yeah.
But I always find myself going back to Old Faithful. I just do. It's just, I think there's a wholeness to it. There's so much that can be said. When I look at an acoustic guitar, I'm like, the stories it can tell. I don't want to sound cliche or cheesy as fuck, but it's the guitar is a tool, not just an instrument, that is literally going to bring about the song that you want to sing, the song that you want to write. And to say that and go into this, I mean, how romantic is it that Isbell sat there in a studio from start to finish and just recorded this album?
The one
that he's probably really worked on. I mean, these songs are methodical. They are heavy duty. He spent time. There is time spent with these songs. He didn't just pop them out of nowhere and, oh man, he has songs now. Like, these are thoroughly, like, I read the lyrics as I listened to it the second time today.
I was doing while we listened today. Yeah.
I read the lyrics for each song.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I wanted to talk about it so much tonight, is because I felt like there's so much to unpack, and I'm going to keep unpacking this album.
Well, you're. I'm looking around the room right now, and you gestured to my guitar that's on the wall.
It's a pretty one.
That guitar you're talking about,
Alvarez.
Stories, is huh?
Is that an Alvarez? No.
It's an Abilene, which is made by Samix, a Japanese guitar.
Okay. Is that yours or your friend's?
So that's mine.
Okay.
My friend's is the Taylor in the other room.
Gotcha.
That guitar I've had since I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm 44 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, think about the where that guitar has been.
Yeah.
The songs I've written on it. The time we've spent together.
Yeah.
That's the one I talked to you about, how like I'd just like to put a pickup in that.
Mm-hmm. You should.
I really would like to, because the way it sounds and the action on it, and that's my baby, you know. Like that guitar has been everywhere. I uncovered a couple nights ago. So again, this record's hitting me at the right time. On Tuesday, I woke up. I'm gonna say this, and I don't think I'll cut it, but maybe I will. because it was a really interesting moment that I think folks listening can relate to, and maybe you can relate to. I've gotten to the point in my divorce, my partnership, the breakup of that, where I'm like, I don't miss that person, right? The person that she is now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be with her. I don't, like, that's gone. That's pretty long gone, actually.
Yeah.
But I woke up on Tuesday morning and I rolled over, and there was something in, like, the moment of grief that I'm going through, because grief is not linear.
Mm-mm.
Like, I'm good. You've been hanging out with me all night.
you're
I'm
good.
doing all right. But there's something in the moment of grief that I'm going through where I rolled over and I expected to be able to just, like, touch her body, right? Like, I expected in that moment, I don't know, something in that wave of grief. And, I processed it during the morning, and then I was like, oh, well, I definitely don't want her.
Sure.
Like, I've moved past that.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where I was like, this is something that, there are going to be moments for probably a long time where I'm continuing to process the fact that I was with somebody for 10 years. I had an identity with them. We had a life together, all those kinds of things.
Right.
And when I hear him play these songs, especially on this last listen, it made me go, oh, shit. One, I'm in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at that guitar. If you look over there where Nonsense is laying,
Yeah.
there's a Robert's Western World t-shirt that's been made into a pillow that my ex made into a pillow, the one I'm talking about, which that sucks because it was a kind thing she did for me, and that hurts, but also it's a beautiful thing she did for me. So processing it that way. The second song on the record is Ride to Roberts,
Yeah.
where he's talking about that very place that 25 years ago or whatever I bought that t-shirt,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's the song that you and I looked at each other and went, it sounds like he's playing 3 guitars at once right now. Because the outro to that thing, the coda on that, is like, oh, what the fuck,
Yeah,
dude?
yeah,
How are you capable of playing it this way? So when I think about this...
Exceptional guitarist.
Yeah, and like tying it all back together about why this record hits so hard for me, I'm looking around my condo right now, having this conversation with you, and I am seeing all these stages of like my life and his life, and how they sync up, and how these songs make so much sense to me because of the things that I have gone through at the same time that he's been going through them.
I have a couple things.
Yeah.
I personally think you should keep that in, but you do what you want.
I will.
I think, and I'm no expert, so let me just put that caveat out there that, like, I am no love expert or guru or anything. I was alone for a very long time. For me, it was a very long time. I mean, we're talking not having a serious relationship for 4 years, 5 years, just being a date here and there, or love became a very distant thing for me. Distant. Like, I felt like I wasn't going to, it wasn't in the cards. I was starting to believe hey, like, I'm finally at a point where my life is good, but it took a long time to get there. So I'm saying that in response to what you were saying about, having that feeling of like waking up next to somebody, because now that I do have it, and I have that somebody that I'm ready to do that for the rest of my life with, especially after having been on my own and knowing what that's like, knowing that kind of taking a little dip into the If We Were Vampires pool. Like, that thought crosses my mind in my relationship all the time now, of like, there might come a time where I'm not around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might not be here. I might not be here.
Yeah.
That thought runs with me every day. Just about every day. It's a very subconscious thing.
Yeah.
It's a very open thing that I don't tell a lot of people. So I feel very vulnerable right now. No, but all that to say, the things that you're looking at and you're pointing out, and you're kind of going down this like memory lane and like feeling the feels, that is healthy and cathartic. It is necessary.
Yeah.
Because now you're just leveling up. You know what I mean? I think that about my music career. because everything that I've done is a level up.
Yeah.
And if I just keep leveling up, I'm going to get to where I want to be. So I try to live that with my life, you know?
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to Jason Isbell of being
Yeah.
like, I think he is finally at a place where he's able to be so raw and open and so vulnerable in himself. And you not only do we see the real him, but he sees the real him.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you had another point, and I wanted to talk on. What was it that you said after the Tuesday grieving? You said something about Roberts, the guitar. Hold on, I'm gonna get it.
I skipped a part about Roberts too, about how I've been there so much lately in the last couple of years. It's been like a comfort thing for me. Nashville has. Like, I've been going back to Nashville.
Yeah, you've been going a good bit.
Yeah, I'm going in 2 weeks.
We're supposed to be going up in
Gonna go
April.
see Isbell play these songs solo.
We're planning on going up in April. I think there is just an it's important to take with you what you've learned along the way. These trinkets, these things on the walls, your guitar, like everything. And that's why I'm a bit of a collector.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I like collecting, is because I'm not a hoarder. I'm not like over, accumulating things. I pick a thing and I really want to have those things in my life because they bring a sense of nostalgia to me. They remind me of my childhood, like having Star Wars action figures and WWE action figures. Like, there is a nostalgia to that like, it really makes me feel at home.
Yeah.
But all that aside, I think that we take with us the lessons that we've had and the lessons that we've learned so that we can be better people for ourselves later and then potentially for somebody else when they come around.
100%.
When I look at Mariah, I think that all the time of like, I am at my best now and I'm happy that you get that. And I'm happy to give that to you. I'm happy that we're in that type of place where, because like Mariah said it multiple times, she's like, I don't know if I would have dated you earlier. And I'm like, you're probably not wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so I'm going to be vulnerable again and talk about Roberts in Nashville again. When I was in Nashville last in December, I was sitting and having coffee with this really incredible woman who I won't give her name or identifying details.
Sure.
But I was sitting there thinking about the fact that I was like, okay, me at my best, I could be worthy of you. But I still have work to do to get there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't say that out loud.
Sure.
I'm just now saying it. But I had that thought where I was like, oh, I've gotten to a place where I can recognize I'm not where I need to be worthy of this woman, and I still need to be single in this moment, and I'll get there, and if she's still there, maybe that works out. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's somebody else. But understanding that work that you have to do on yourself.
Yeah.
And this record is so, I hear it as so much work.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head with wanting to be by yourself, on your own.
Got to.
Because again, like, I don't know if I would be who I am if I didn't have that time.
Yeah.
And that's COVID, man. That's like pandemic era fucking bullshit that like we all went through it, but like I was on my own. I go back to it all the time that like it was just me and my dog Nessie and I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
I was just trying to keep my head above water. And there are a lot of hopeless moments throughout that and then afterwards where I'm like, what the fuck is the point? You know, like, what is the point of all this? And then when I've finally got to see what the point is, I know now what my purpose is. It's not just for Mariah. It's not just for any one thing. It's just not just music or any. It's just it's all of it. Yeah, exactly. Nonsense. She gets it. Like, exactly. It's all.
Tell us more, baby girl.
It's all cumbersome, you know.
Yeah.
No.
Copacetic.
Yeah, copacetic. It's all copacetic.
It's all copacetic.
That was the word I was trying to go with. You know, it really is.
Learn to accept it. Don't sue us.
It's
Whoever
okay,
that
it's
band is.
Yeah, it is all encompassing, and I think, of course, I think my lucky stars, but I also look at it as like I finally got to this place where I'm worthy of love.
Yeah,
It's not like
buddy,
worthy
yeah.
of like a person or any person, but it's like I can love especially too with like previous relationships. Every relationship is a lesson that I've taken for good and bad. Like I haven't been the best person. There are so many things that I could have done better.
Sure.
We all
Same.
have that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
100%,
happy
yeah.
that the decisions were made because it taught me who to be for the person that's going to be around. The person that's not going to go anywhere. She's going to stick by me just like I'm going to stick by her, and we're in this world together. This fucking shit show of a country and like everything that's going on. Like we're not leaving each other's side. So like all that to say again that like where you are and what you're dealing with and going through, it is healthy as fuck. Like it is.
Yeah.
It
No.
is so healthy and
Yeah.
so needed. And again, I think to Foxes in the Snow, it really has an all encompassing thing. And I read somewhere that somebody on one of the fan groups on Facebook was like, yeah, besides Eileen and Gravelweed, like it just sounds like Jason Isbell knows who he is, and he's like, just another singer songwriter now. He gets it, like he gets where he is, and it's like, brother, why are you listening to it then? You're missing the point.
You're missing it,
folks.
yeah.
Like there is no ego here.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I mean, I guess there's always an ego. I shouldn't say that because we all have one.
Oh, if you're writing songs or
and you're writing
podcasting,
songs,
you got ego.
You know where you stand.
And if
know
you're like
who
us
you
and
are.
you do both,
What I'm saying is,
you
as
you got a healthy
I
dose
definitely,
of
yeah,
ego.
you gotta, man. I guess you just gotta check it. You gotta check it.
Sure.
Be aware of what it is. I would be confident to say that doing this record shows a level of confidence, and again, vulnerability is the first thing that I think about. That really drives it home.
Can I ask you? I want to share.
Yeah,
something.
you've been asking questions. You said you wanted to ask me questions, so hit me if you.
Well, I want to share
have some.
something, and
Yeah.
then I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
And I want to ask you to. I want to talk about the record, and then we can, in context, talk about other things if they come up, because I know for me it's going to come up.
Okay.
And we kind of hit on this when we were listening to it off mic. I think this is pretty much a flawless record. My favorite song, and the one that landed with me the most, is True Believer.
Yeah.
There are a lot of lines that really land with me. He says, take your hand off my knee, take your foot off my neck. And that's not just me processing my 10-year breakup. That's like so often the reason why things end, where there's like a push and pull of like, I love the feel of your hand on my knee. I love the feel of your hand on my neck. I love the feel of you around, but also your foot's on my fucking neck all the time. And I'm trying to do the things, I'm trying to fix the things you're asking me to fix, and nothing is changing in terms of your foot being on my neck. So often that happens, and I know it happens both ways with people. That particular song, being someone who's a true believer, and you talked about this earlier, the idea of like having to, when things end, and you have dedicated yourself, and you've thought like, I have given everything I can give to this relationship, romantic or otherwise, but usually romantic. I've given everything I can give, and yet the other person feels like it's not enough, or the other person isn't willing to give the same thing back. It shatters for at least a period of time. And right now I'm still kind of working on this. It shatters your sense of, is it possible to find true undying love again? So I have two questions for you. One is, you found that now. How did you get to a place of like understanding that and going, this is my person and this is the life that I'm gonna live? And then after,
hold on, can you hold on to that one?
Yeah.
The second one, because that's a heavy question.
Okay, yeah.
I want to answer that. Hold on to the second one.
Yep.
Sorry, because if you throw two
do
at me,
it.
I might like, have a little bit of ADHD. So to answer your question there, oh my gosh, that was a heavy one. I
do another beer.
Yeah. After that question, yeah. No, because it's a good question. I'm not saying that it isn't. It's just a heavy one. There is no perfect, beautiful way to. I think that's what we as songwriters are always trying to do, is like, how do we paint a beautiful picture, whether it's harrowing or sad or like thoughtful or creative, like whatever that might be. Like, how do we paint the picture to make it pretty musically? So to answer your question on the personal level, is I learned that in a relationship, the healthiest thing to do is identify what you depend on each other for and what you need yourself for. Codependency and it being independent are two very important things. What like you said, you hit the nail on the head with saying like, I give you my everything. And I think that's something that we always say, especially to those we love. Like, I give you my everything. Like for Mariah, I give her my everything, of course. But there is a little bit for me still, like I think, and it's not being selfish. It is identifying our independence. Mariah is a very strong-willed person, and she has her own life separate from me, just as I do her. And like, we are so intertwined at the same time that it goes in and out of each other very, very, in a very healthy manner.
Yeah. Mariah's a powerhouse for folks listening. If you don't know her, like
she's an amazing person,
she's incredibly intelligent and driven, and
just beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
She's exactly the person I've always wanted to be with.
Yeah.
Like, to just make that very clear is that like, if I dreamt up who I would like to see myself with, she was it.
Yeah.
So let me just make that very clear.
Yeah.
But I learned through my relationship history that if there isn't you, me, and you, and me, the relationship might not be healthy. Yeah. You have to have your own world, your own life, the things that you do. So do I. But we intertwine so much that like we can flow in and out of everything. And that's a real, and that also goes with teamwork. Mm-hmm. So you and I both love sports. Mm-hmm. I'm a big proponent of teamwork. Mm-hmm. If somebody falls, the other one is there to, should be there to pick them up, not knock them down further or make them feel bad for it. And so I guess
that's the foot on the neck thing.
That is the foot on the neck thing. And you pointed something out very unique of like, you said, how did you get there? Like, what was the question? What was the basis of the question?
Yeah, so
again?
what I'm asking is,
I don't want to get too far off.
Because you talked earlier about the fact that you went 4 years with not having what you wanted and deserved.
Right.
And then how did you get to a place where you were willing? Because, I mean, obviously Mariah's amazing.
Sure.
But, like, how did you get to that place where you're like, okay, I can accept
that's
this?
Great. Thank you for bringing that up again. For saying it again. Yeah. I got to that place because I realized that this is the best I've ever had and I ever will have. And I'm finally at a place where I can give my best to somebody. I can give it my all because being alone and having that time to myself and, trying to date here and there, see where it goes. A lot of it was just like, well, whatever. There's like I've been reflecting on this a good bit too, because we're deep in wedding talk. Like we're getting married soon, and
you are.
And the wedding plans are happening and all that. So I have been doing some reflecting.
Your
of like,
officiant's really handsome.
He is a handsome devil. His name's Jason Earle. There is a point earlier in the relationship. There was a point where we were both looking at it as like, I think both of us are the real deal. And we've talked about it. Like, how did we test each other? How did we see if like you're a good fit for me. And like what's cool about Mariah is that she was very much on the same plane as me. Mariah could have gone with or without me. And I know that I don't mean to say that as in a shitty way. I mean that like if I wasn't in the picture, Mariah would be just fine.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
she doesn't need somebody.
Mm,
She wants me. And I
Yeah.
think that alone is one of the most powerful
Huge,
things
dude.
to have in a relationship, is to know that like you're not needed, you're wanted.
Yeah.
And I want her in return, and my family loves her, and my friends love her, and there's like she's my world now. Like she is right beside me in this life and where we're going. It's very exciting, and we have a lot of ambition and a lot of goals, and all of that has accumulated to now, and none of it would be possible if it wasn't for having been through what we both have been through.
Yeah.
That like we've been through the shit that kind of molded us by the shitty people we were around, or the shitty people we dated, or not shitty people in general, but shitty for us, like
Right.
not healthy for us, or like, again, a lesson learned, on my end and their end, or on her end and her ex's ends, like those experiences have brought us to a point of comfort with each other, and that also goes with saying it's a constant lesson. I'm constantly learning. I still have moments of not seeing things so clearly, but I think what's cool is, we work together on it.
Yeah.
So loaded question, loaded answer. That was a good one. Thank
Thanks,
you for
man.
asking that. I could talk about Mariah until I'm blue in the face, because she's amazing.
Yeah, of course. And like, my admiration for Mariah and my admiration for the two of you, and you individually and you as a couple. I'm just like, I'll never forget walking into the Nook.
Yeah.
And seeing the two of you and being like, oh, cool, they connected. And then being like, wait a minute.
Yeah. That was our first date.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason was there.
Yeah. I just got off stage. I
know, just missed
I
you.
did it was like, that's fine, because I did one of my songs. I never do that song anymore. I did it as a spoken word. I did
Always
a couple
fun to
of them.
revisit.
Yeah, I did a song that I haven't played since then, but I just did it as a poem, just spoken word poem.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the words, actually. And then I got off stage and I was kind of like that buzz you have when you get off stage. And I was like, oh shit, Jordan. Oh shit, Mariah. Oh shit, you guys just hanging out together. Of course you are. You didn't happen to be standing next to each other, I guess. That's cool.
It was so cool to see that Mariah knew who you were. Mm-hmm. That put my nerves at ease.
Oh, cool.
Because I had a crush on Mariah for years.
Sure.
From the distance.
Yeah.
And I never took the shot. I never took a chance. I never slid in the DMs. I would like her posts. That was it, man. I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
Mariah actually knew who I was before I knew who she was.
Oh.
When she was working at Dr. Phillips Center, she was putting on the Amped series, local acts over at Dr. Phillips Center.
I remember that, yeah. That series, yeah.
Mariah actually pitched me in her PowerPoint presentation, along with Mike Dunn, in saying, these are two great folk Americana artists from Orlando that we should consider having one of them.
I didn't know this.
Mike Dunn actually won, of course, because it's Mike Dunn, and he's very well established.
He's incredible.
And he's awesome. But the fact remained that like I was still considered, and she knew of me. So before I knew who she was, she knew who I was.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the next question? Sorry.
This may even be a good segue into the next question, which I thought might be related, might not. I've talked a lot about my connection to the album personally. What there was a moment, and I'm curious if you say the same song now. There's a moment when we were listening to Foxes in the Snow, you were like, this is my favorite. Do you know at this moment right now, like which one hits the most for you?
Yeah.
Which one?
Good While It Lasted.
Yeah, that's what you said earlier.
Oh, you're gonna make me tear up.
No, there's a handkerchief right behind you.
Dude, the song title itself gets me. It isn't just the whole song. Like I just the title itself is a great title. I love that you can, anybody who can sing, write a song where the title says enough of it, where you're going to be like, oh, it hit me more on this listen than it did the last two, because it's just like, I think we do this a lot, right? Especially as creatives, we have to tap into something, right? And that goes hand in hand with my whole nostalgia thing. I've tapped into this nostalgia thing that like collecting is making me feel like a kid to some degree.
Yeah.
It's something I enjoyed as a kid, so I want to connect with that kid.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with past relationships and moments in your life of like, wow, well, it was good while it lasted. Like I do that a lot of, in terms of reflecting, but I don't look at it in the same way. I don't look at it as like, well, it was good, because good isn't great. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it was the best. What we've been through, what I've been through with past relationships, I think when I was alone and by myself, I romanticized a lot of dead relationships.
Dude.
And I had a habit of doing that because I didn't know where else to like put my love and affection. Dude. So I'd just be like, oh, remember when that was nice. And it would be my way of like overcasting the shit that was also there.
Dude.
So yeah, I think that's where
guilty of that.
That's where that song comes to play for me, because it's saying that of like, there's a reflection there. There's like, I'm reflecting on what this was in this moment. And yeah, well, it was good while it lasted. Mm-hmm. It's giving the reverence that those moments needs, but it is also...
They deserve respect.
It is also saying it stays where it is.
Yep. The good things deserve respect. Right?
Yeah, it stays
really
where
do.
It is. I think Mariah, one thing that I think she has instilled from herself is, you cut ties, bro. You cut ties. If they're not meant to be in your life, they don't deserve a seat at your table. Man. And that's just not with relationships. That's with friendships. I mean, there are people in my life that I no longer have in my life that they were a pretty big, important seat at the table.
You've counseled me a lot in that, like lately.
Yeah.
You've without mentioning names, like you've channeled that energy telling me things.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, which is good.
You're welcome.
Yeah. No, I know. Wait, I was supposed to.
You're supposed to. Yeah. No, but I don't know, because I don't know in the moment that I'm doing that. But I think it's very important.
You've provided that perspective a lot.
Thank you.
And I mean, in one major way that I'm sure you can think of.
Yeah.
But in ways that like have been really helpful for me.
Sometimes we let people in that we don't realize they're not healthy for our lives.
I give people too much,
because we give them too much rope. We give them too much credit.
Too long a leash.
And people show their true selves, and you have to learn how to accept them for who they are rather than who you want them to be.
Yeah. I
think especially with your ego, we are constantly trying to feed it with who we think we're meant to be with, or who we need to be in a relationship, or I need to be this person, or I need to be that person. I need to stand my ground on this thing, or I need to focus on this thing. I think it's just be in it. To give like you said, give your all, give all your love, give your heart to somebody when they deserve it and when they've earned it and when you know that they're reciprocating it. Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, I have given affection and love to too many people, women, with people that I have been infatuated with or have had affections for over the years. I gave them too much
access.
Yeah, too much attention. I think I gave them too much attention that they didn't deserve. They didn't need it. They didn't want it. And I just wanted to give because in my thought,
so we were talking about
my love language. Yeah, my love language is giving.
Yeah.
Gift giving.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you my love. I'm showing you my love because I'm giving it to you. Well, what happens when they don't want it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just hope that they do it next week. I don't know. Are you
Yeah.
going to change your mind? I think there's been a lot of growing up in that for me.
Yeah,
of
dude.
realizing that,
Yeah.
like, I think back on songs that I've written, and I play them, and I say this as much as I can. The songs that I've written for exes or people who are no longer in my life in any capacity, there gets to be a point where they're no longer about that person. They're no longer dedicated to that person. He literally says that. Jason literally says that.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm sorry that the love songs I wrote are no longer what they are today.
Yeah.
Or no longer what they were
Yeah.
today. And I think that's but that's the only way to get through it is by compartmentalizing and putting your songs into a certain pocket, into a certain box. I now tell myself constantly, Clouds is not for that person.
Yeah.
It's for you. It's for you who's listening, who's going to take this song and you're going to feel something different. So that goes back to Foxes in the Stove with your question. It was good while it lasted, struck a chord with me because it's like I get it, but I get it in my own way. A lot of these songs that he's writing, like, it is so reflective, it is so vulnerable and so personal.
Yeah.
But there's so much to take away from it. That is and I think that makes a good songwriter. That makes for a good album. That makes for good music in general. We're not, I don't know anybody who could, like, listen to a song once and be like, I know what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? I think you can get the gist. But I don't think you, like, really know where's this song coming from.
So that's a really interesting point because we're recording this the day this record came out, and we've only listened to it 4 times each. And it's going to be interesting to, like, you said at some point when we were hanging out earlier, like, letting the record breathe.
Yeah.
Like a fine wine.
Yep.
Right? The 4th listen was the one for me. I mean, I cried my eyes out the first listen and the second listen. The first listen, after a night out. Second listen, fresh eyes, coffee. Third listen, I went, oh, shit, now I can listen.
Yeah.
4th listen hit me differently. We're all hanging out together, you and I and the dogs, talking about life, connecting. I do think this thing is going to be something that a year from now I'm going to be like, oh, shit, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be hey, this was my favorite album of 2025 because it was a Jason Isbell album.
Right.
It's because of how good the album is. I'm not saying that it's going to be my favorite overall. I right now it's my number one.
Definitely
it has
number one.
definitely gone to number one.
Yeah.
I apologize
like
to the
way
artists
up.
that
Yeah.
it has.
He's lapping the field right now.
Yeah, he literally just mopped the floor in March of 2025, being like, I mean, like, it's honestly, like, this might be one of the best albums I've heard in a very long time, and I'm still processing that. I'm still processing just how much invested into it. And again, that it goes back to what I was saying earlier today of being like, man, I just want to talk about it. I think it's going to unpack things that we both want to talk about.
Yeah.
And there's only one other person that I could talk this deeply about Jason Isbell's music with. Tyler Hood.
Yeah.
Tyler,
where the fuck are you?
Well, that's something we need to talk about because I think Tyler needs to be our first special guest on this podcast, and he knows it, and we're gonna find a way to make that happen. I think we should. Even if it was like a recurring, like, hey, like, he's coming in to do this one, or like, we just need to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
But he's in. I mean, you ask, he's down. He loves vinyl. He loves he loves very similar music to us and beyond. Like, Tyler loves music. I just want to say real quick, like, Tyler loves Zappa and Pink Floyd, and like, he has a Jimi Hendrix tattoo, Pearl Jam tattoo, Queens of the Stone Age all up his arm. Like, dude
knows
is
his shit.
Yeah.
There are moments where what song is it? Is it Ruins? That when you play full band, he goes into this like Pink Floyd-esque.
Yeah.
Is it Ruins that he does that on?
Yeah.
It's the wildest shit.
The Ruins. Yeah. The breakdown in the middle of Ruins. Thomas Wynn, who's our producer, he was like, he in pre-production, he literally said, how cool would it be if like we just took this folk song and just threw like a Pink Floyd breakdown in the middle of it?
And Tyler crushes.
And we all went, yeah, how are we gonna do that? And he goes, Jordan, just play like E minor, whatever, or F minor, whatever. Like you do this, guys, you do that, you do this, Mike, you do this. Like he just like he said, just do this for like a couple minutes and let's see what we come up with. And that it was very organic.
There's that show at Judson's Live that y'all played that. There was a couple that you did in a row.
Yeah.
There was one of them I was there by myself, and I was sitting kind of like I bought a ticket next to the stage because I bought a ticket kind of late, and it was just me. And Tyler was like right next to me.
Yeah, he was right in front of you.
Yeah. And I was watching him play that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah. It is really, really cool.
And it's just it's such a wild thing in the middle of that song. And folks, if you don't know that song, go look it up. It's on the internet.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
it's a
please
great
go
song.
listen to my music.
Yeah. But like that moment, I was like, Jesus Christ, I've never heard it like this.
Again,
I don't think.
You said it earlier in the podcast before we listened to Fox's is Tyler is just one of the most charismatic and passionate guitarists I've ever seen. And that's not just talking as a bandmate or a best friend. That's literally like looking at all the guitar. I mean, I have been obsessive over guitarists for years.
Yeah.
I just don't talk about it a whole lot.
Yeah.
But Tyler lives it, dude. Like when you see Tyler's face, I thought when we first started playing together, I was like, man, he looks so passionate over there. Like, is he really that passionate in it? Yeah, he fucking is. It's so genuine. Like, it's the most genuine thing I've ever, like, everybody's got a stink face. Tyler's stink face is my favorite.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
But yeah, it goes without saying, like, if I were in Jason Isbell's shoes, as much as I would love to collaborate with somebody like Tyler, as we do, right? As much as I love collaborating with Tyler, I would not want to bring him into this mess. And I think Isbell even talks about it. He called the music a mess, or he said something about like this is a mess, or the room's a mess. He said something in there. Yeah. I have to unpack so much. I mean, there's still so much to unpack.
Well, it's really fun
that
the wound is fresh. Like we're listening to it on the day that it came out, and we'll listen to it 4 times, and it's really fun to just have these conversations. And maybe what we end up doing is, you know, we revisit it down the road and like, you know, kind of have like a reaction to almost like the. When Game of Thrones had After the Thrones.
Yeah, After the Thrones.
You know, they had those
After the Vinyl.
After the Vinyl.
You know, something like that. Like, I think
that might be a lot of fun.
I think what we're finding too, folks, is that like we're just scratching the surface, not just with this album, but with the levels and the means of what we can do with this podcast. I think it's going to expand, and it's going to get bigger. So with all that to say, I feel like that's been my ultimately at the end of the day tonight.
Really?
All that to say.
Really?
I've said it so much
to
tonight.
You have you?
I feel like I have.
Okay. I haven't noticed it.
Well, I have, for sure.
Okay.
Beer 3 is telling me that I am definitely...
Listen to Beer 3.
All that to say... fuck, shit. I forgot what it was.
You were going to say ultimately at the end of the day.
No, I wasn't. All that to say.
Well, I think what you were getting at before we went on our little tangent was like the idea that this Life's Greatest Hits journey is expanding.
It's growing bigger.
And that we're having a lot of fun with it. And we really appreciate how much people are giving us feedback. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. To reiterate, it is... Really, it's ultimately it's ultimately very helpful.
Fucking all that being said,
if you give us feedback, tell us what you like about it. Yeah. Tell us what you want us to do less of. Maybe you want us to say less of really.
Maybe you want us to stop rambling. I don't know. Like we're enjoying our conversation.
We're having fun.
Are you are you liking this? Because we want to do this to you know, we're doing this for other album enthusiasts, people who want to listen to the music and talk about their favorite artists and artists that they've never heard of before. And I think with Isbell in particular, he's just both of our favorites. Like
he's my favorite
he's
songwriter.
Favorite songwriter for both of us, and I think it goes without being said that this is a very pivotal moment in his life and in our lives in many ways. And we both wanted to be able to be like, let's sit and talk about this. Let's open it up. And I think we're going to do more of it. I think we should do more of this because I want to have real conversations. I want to have good, juicy shit conversations.
Y'all, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for sharing your life's greatest hits with us. We got another one coming down the pipe.
We got an actual vinyl swap coming up, folks. So looking forward to that. Jason Earle's going to be talking about Early James.
Yeah.
The new Early James record, Medium Raw. And I'll be discussing Waltzer.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Don't forget to follow Life's Greatest Hits on all the socials. We're on all the things pretty much. Follow Jordan Foley. At Jordan Foley.
Follow the Marinade Podcast,
Yes,
Marinade_podcast.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much at Marinade Podcast. But if you search Marinade Podcast, you'll see a drawing of my face. And y'all, thank you so much for listening. And
love yous.
We'll see you next time.